This is We All Be, news-free Dixie for the 21st century. See how it works? Somewhere. Can you dig it?
And so just want you to know. Man, I looked at that smile on your face just now. And the first time I ever wished I was a photographer to take that picture and let the world see that honesty and that integrity. And know some of the things I know, how you drive all over the country to chase us down. Chase us down. Okay? We move so fast. I don't know if you're married, I don't know if you're a family, I don't know if you're a wife. Okay? But when we get on here, we bosom friends. Anytime I see you, I stop whatever I'm doing. Hey, my man, how are you? Hey. Hey, man, what, that's, I owe that to you. It's an obligation that you have. How old are you?
Oh, 36.
So you don't have the right to do what 36 people do. You don't have the right to go to the dance or go to the party. You don't have a right to take that trip to Europe when I might need that plane fare to fly somebody else to feed my people that love me. Mm-hmm. You feed them. Oh, it's one thing being hungry from food. Right. There's another thing being hungry for information.
That's right.
And that's you the feeder. You got to be the farmer. You got to grow the crop. Huh? You got to till the grain. And at nighttime, when you hear something that sounds like water, you got to go see if the crop's going to be flooded. That's your job, man.
Hey, everybody, this is Brother Ron. I am asking you all to do me a big favor. Think about supporting the We All Be movement. Your donation is tax deductible. The We All Be Group Incorporated is a recognized 501c3. And I'm just asking you all because I want to keep on bringing y'all quality work through the way that I know how to do best. And I'm going to sing my praises and toot my horn. A lot of y'all were not hip to Dick Gregory until Brother Ron brought him on the We All Be platform, until that Django review we did. Y'all seen another side of Judge Joe Brown, and Judge Joe Brown's message has been amplified. But it was We All Be that brought Judge Joe Brown to y'all back in 2014. And so many others. And we covered so many things. So help us out so we can help you all. Peace.
Guess who's back? Back again. Brother Run. Tell a friend. Guess who's back and still black? Guess who's back? Still black. Is back and he's black. It's Brother Ron. And this is We All Be. News Free Dixie for the 21st century. That's News Free Dixie for the 21st century. I'm glad to be here on Friday night. At least it's still Friday in Central Time. I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. Crowning me. Why don't you crown me? Crowning me and not down me. Down me. I had to do this because I want to basically do this during Pride Month. Still a little bit of pride left, but also this is Black Music Month. I recognize June and will always recognize June as Black Music Month, as I think President Jimmy Carter made it so back in the day, OKKK. So this will always be Black Music Month to me. I would recognize it as such, but also you got the Pride Month. And my thing is this: I believe that we concede too much. We don't protest enough. I'm reclaiming the rainbow. I'm reclaiming the rainbow. Put the black and brown back in the rainbow. The rainbow is for humanity. It's for all the peoples, not just some of the peoples, not just a tiny little group of peoples, but all the peoples. We all part of the rainbow. My thing is we got to take stuff back. Stop conceding everything. Stop giving up everything just because they said so, so it's so. No, it's not so. It's not. It's time to reclaim that. I'm doing it in honor of Tupac Amaru Shakur and Chairman Fred Hampton Sr., who came up with the phrase Rainbow Coalition when you try to organize the street tribes of Chicago, whether it be the Students for Democratic Society, the white folks, whether it be the Latin Kings, whether it be the Black Keystone Nation, whoever. Fred Hampton was on a mission to politicize the have-nots, the marginalized, the underrepresented, and give them a seat at the table. Now, forget that. Turning over the tables in the temple. They had to get rid of Chairman Fred. Tupac knew who Chairman Fred Hampton Sr. was. It kind of like he was Chairman Fred's revenge. You think about what Pac was trying to do in his 25 years on the planet. You know, I just think people kind of weird about Tupac. Tupac only lived to be 25. I mean, y'all keep on thinking Tupac was 50 years old. The way y'all talk about Tupac, he should have known better. Well, he was 52. He was 25. So what was you doing at 25? You know, because Tupac supposed to know all this stuff at just 25. But he did know he was here for a reason. And he also knew that he was willing to die for what he believed in. A lot of you are just dying, not because you believe in anything, because you just dying. A lot of us not living lives fulfilled. We're living half lives with half lies. We're living half lives with half lies. And it shows every day. You know, a lot of us living lives of quiet desperation. We live vicariously through sports and entertainment, through social media, instead of doing what it do. I have not really been on social media that much the last several weeks. I'm normally pretty good about wishing folks happy life affirmation day, but I got kind of derailed. Quite frankly, I've been sleep deprived, but I thought it was love. I've been sleep deprived about 9 months, but I thought it was love. But I got my wake up call last week. I'm still processing that situation. Jack Nicholson said it best in A Few Good Men: you can't handle the truth. Well, this is the time that we got to deal with some truths. I'm dealing with some realities that I wasn't aware of, and I got to deal with, and I'm processing it. I'm going through the process. I'm giving myself creative therapy. Somebody told me best today. It's not what they tell me. It's not a loss. It's a learn. In life, sometimes you win, other times you learning. So the brother told me it's not a loss, it's a learn. Learn from what is a loss and could be a gain. That's how you get wisdom through trial and error. It's not that you get wisdom by not experiencing life. You get wisdom by being willing to take risk in life. And if you survive the risk, you may not get the reward, but you may get the opportunity to learn. And that's very important, that we are constantly always learning. And I've been taught a very invaluable lesson that I've been having a hard time to get a grasp of. I recognize that, God got a funny sense of humor. The person that you think he sent or was sent to destroy you will be the person a lot of times that will help you get to the next level. See, my thing is I'm learning that the people that you call friends and family may not always be your best supporters or your best, your best supporters. Sometimes, a lot of times it's your enemies or frenemies that will give you the constructive criticism needed to elevate yourself to the next level. I'm a public figure, for better or for worse. I've been doing this YouTube thing, podcasting thing for over a decade now, almost 20 years. So I will encounter people in the public, through the DMs, through email and text and phone. They will call me or let me know, hey, Brother Ron, love your show, love what you do. Thank you for Bobby Gregory, Judge Joe Brown, Dr. Randy Short. Thank you, for being true. And sometimes I answer back. A lot of times I may not answer back. People write me letters, PO box, address, and sometimes there's a donation. I thank you all who has been donating to the cause recently, and will continue to donate in the future. But I don't really know people like that. People know me well, better than I know them. I'm pretty much out here. This is me. This is not a deep fake. This is Brother Ron. This is my voice. This is me. I'm a real person. So sometimes people will, they'll call me. I don't know who they really are, but they tell me, well, I'm so and so and this and that. And I've been listening to you for over a decade, and I really appreciate the work you do. I say, fine. Sometimes it's a female, that's cool too. You got a nice voice. Oh, why don't you put yourself on camera? Let me see who you are, so I know who I'm dealing with. And my thing is this: I'm a sucker for love. I want to be loved. I want to be loved with inspiration. I want to be loved starting tonight. I don't, matters of the heart. I'm a very passionate guy. I'm very passionate about sharing information with the people. I'm very passionate about creating art. I'm very passionate about me. I'm very passionate about living. I don't understand fully grown people who say they bored. I don't understand how anybody that's fully grown, that you have free will, that you have mobility and abilities to do things, to say yes and no. How can you be bored in your life? I encounter people on my job that work with me. They have the nerve to tell the supervisor that they're bored at work. How are you bored at work when there's things to be done? Why don't you take initiative to do things while people telling you be more proactive? See, a lot of us are not really proactive. We always trying to respond to what happened to us instead of being ahead of the curves. Instead of being offensive, we be so defensive in our posture and our stance, not realizing to keep our eyes on the prize and keep going no matter what, because we don't really know what the objective is. Most of us don't have any clue why we are here and how to do what it do. So my thing about it is, I'm a guy. I'm a thinker. I think I critical assess, but also I love taking chances. I love taking risks, whether it be in art. I don't believe you can make a mistake in art. Mistake is just a opportunity in disguise. What you consider a mistake is just a opportunity in disguise for me. And like I tell people all the time, it's not what happens to you that matters. It's how you respond to what happens to you. That's very important. And let me say this. Let me do a correction, because I'm a thinking person. I can admit when I might have got some things wrong. So my thing is, I said on a couple of podcasts and on lives recently that the most revolutionary thing one can do is raise a family. Let me backtrack on that. Not that it's not very important and revolutionary, but the most revolutionary thing you can do actually is take good care of you. You are precious cargo, because we need you to take good care of you so you can raise strong, powerful families. We need people to do self-care. That's the best health-care. That's something that I've been learning recently. As you get older, especially if you have not been kind to your body over the years or decades or whatever it may be. That is strange. My computer is really acting strange. My phone has not been working. I cannot get anybody to call or send text messages in my phone for several hours now. My computer is acting weird, and it's not a Mercury retrograde. So I must be saying something very powerful and impactful, that my communication has not been up to the standard, up to par to help me communicate my messages. But I'm saying is, the most revolutionary thing you can do is to make sure you take good care of yourself, to invest in yourself, to protect and empower the way you think. It's important to take your peace of mind. It's important to take yourself seriously. The mistake I've been making for a long time Bobby Dick Gregory was a friend. I know I interviewed him a lot, very loquacious, a lot of information, a lot of interesting takes on things. Something that makes sense now more than ever for me as it relates to me is what he said. And I know Waka Flocka talked about it, but it hit me differently now since I'm thinking about my own struggles this year and own trials and tribulations that don't be a Rolls Royce driving through the hood. Don't be a Rolls Royce driving to the hood or driving through the hood. Why is a Rolls Royce hanging out or parked in the hood? See, now I realize I've been a Rolls Royce, not only driving through the hood, but offering discounted Lyft and Uber rides. So I've been a Rolls Royce driving through the hood, offering discounted Uber and Lyft drives, thinking that I could take people with me where the Most High want me to go. A lot of y'all ain't gonna go with me. I'm going to a place that a lot of folks don't want to go to or can't go to, but I'm willing to do it for a bigger cause. So now I got to get out the hood. I got to get out. The Rolls Royce got to roll on, drop off the last passengers, and I'm on my way. I'm on my journey. And this is what this is about for me. I'm at a crossroads right now. I'm trying to figure out some things moving forward and being positive about it, not being stuck in my tracks, because I've been sitting on stuff that I wanted to do for a long time. And I'm realizing now's the time. God has gave me a discernment now, and I had to earn it the hard way. This has been an interesting, like I said, 9 months. I thought I was in love, but it actually was sleep deprivation. I haven't been getting enough sleep. Bobby Dick Gregory said the three things is killing people: lack of sleep, lack of exercise, and lack of water. If you don't get enough sleep, enough exercise, enough water, being hydrated, it could undermine you in all facets and areas of human activity. So this is like whenever you say people die from this dead, because a lot of times we're not getting enough exercise or sleep or water to help, be good to ourselves. So what I'm saying is that's got to be the most revolutionary act, not raising a family, which is revolutionary, especially if it's done very well. But to make sure you take care of yourself so you can be around to create a family, that's very important. That's very important because we're at a crossroads now. Yeah, if y'all look at the news cycle, a lot of crazy stuff is going on. They took down affirmative action. I'm not really too sad about that actually, because affirmative action, really historically speaking, has benefited more white women than any other so-called minority group. How can white women be minorities? That's insane. So he lets you know it's a trick bag. It's what affirmative action, the people that really fought hardest for those type of programs were black men. Well, black men have been given affirmative jail time, affirmative child support, anything in the affirmative that can lead to helping a black man become a patriarch, a real, because y'all talking about black patriarchy, it doesn't exist because black men are not empowered enough to help a patriarchy in this society, in the system as it stands. But we have sacrificed more as black men for the liberation of everybody, including black women, white women, handicapped, immigrants, illegals, aliens, whatever. Everybody has benefited from the sacrifices of black men, but black men. And therein lies the problem. And we see the situation now with our so-called community and neighborhoods where there are not enough black men willing to step into that void to be leaders and whatnot. We don't have a lot of black masculinity that's leading not only in the household but also at these organizations and institutes. Like where I work at as a janitor, I see a lot of empowered black women. There's a lot of black women, supervisors, executives making pretty good money, driving very nice cars. But rarely do I see any black men in leadership positions within said organization. When I say leadership positions, in positions to make and affect policy change. Most of us, like I'm a janitor, a lot of guys work in the mail room, or they're not working in any so-called leadership position. So, affirmative action has been very affirmative in destroying the black family unit because black women, they say they're some of the most educated people in America, right? Black women. successful, but a lot of these black women are single. A lot of them are bitter. A lot of them had to choose between career and family. I mean, white folks say you can have it all, but you can't have it all. You got to make a choice because you can't serve two masters. So you got a black family in disarray. And this has been 60 plus years in the making. Because if you go back 60 years ago, if you go back 60 something years ago, you had black men, black hetero male leadership as head of organizations. Like I said, you may not agree with their policies and how they move, but you had Roy Wilkins at the NAACP. You had Dr. King, Southern Christian Leadership Conference. You had A. Philip Randolph, the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters. You had Whitney Young of the Urban League, National Urban League. You had SNCC, John Lewis, even John Lewis, SNCC, Marion Barry, whatever, Stokely, Elijah Muhammad, Nation of Islam. You had black men at head of organizations that put black interests first, or they act like they put black interests first. You had James Farmer of CORE. I could just go on and on and on, but name me an organization with black men with strong black backbone. Even in Congress, you had Adam Clayton Powell Jr., the Right Reverend Adam Clayton Powell Jr., who actually was, stood on something, had a moral compass, regardless of his, his thing for females and the finer things in life. He was honest about his dealings with women and with his lifestyle. But he was saying, well, at least I'm honest about who I am. But he did the work for the people. I mean, he actually did pass legislation and things of that nature that helped benefit not only Black Americans, but America in general. He helped provide the seed money for the National Endowment for the Arts. He was helping, with the affirmative action legislation. He did a lot of water carrying for the Democratic plantation, but he did a lot of water carrying for the people of this nation, in particular the Black folk. So we don't even honor Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Y'all always talking about Shirley Chisholm. Shirley Chisholm could not touch Adam Clayton Powell Jr. when it comes to political situation. Politics is all about identifying phenomena and making it work in your favor. Adam Clayton Powell Jr. did the job. Y'all talking about Shirley Chisholm running for president, whatever. Okay, whatever. Jesse ran, Dick Gregory ran. Okay, but Adam Clayton Powell actually did something legislative-wise to help empower Black people that he don't get enough credit for. So I'm a fan of Adam Clayton Powell Jr. But 60-some years later, what you have Black Lives Matter Incorporated, ran by 3 lesbians, but they really puppets of the puppet master Soros. So you don't really have anything to cheer about. But I remember I saw a documentary a couple of years back on HBO about Frederick Douglass High School in Baltimore. That's the high school that Cab Calloway went to. I think it's Frederick Douglass High School in Baltimore. Don't get me wrong. Y'all look it up, please. I don't want to hear Brother Ron. That was Dunbar High School. I don't know. Let me just look it up. Take a look. It's all online. What I'm gonna say, it was a white woman educator in that documentary being interviewed, and she said something that stays with me to this day. And I'm gonna paraphrase what she said. She basically said that, until this country does right by Black boys and men, we'll never be the country we could be. Until Black men and Black boys are treated with the respect that we deserve, we would never be the country that we could be, it's possible to be. And that's so true. And so this affirmative action thing, I'm not really sweating bullets about it, because it is what it is, because the group that got benefited the most was white women, anybody but Black people, especially Black men. I can recall about 18 years ago when they was working on the affirmative action thing. I went to WashU in St. Louis, Missouri. I was a John B. Irvin Scholar, which was named after the first Black dean at Washington University, John B. Irvin, who was my Jegna's Jegna, the late great Dean James McLeod. That was his Jegna. He ended up becoming director of the John B. Irvin Scholars Program. And when the Supreme Court went in and said, colleges couldn't do affirmative action things, WashU, I mean, that scholarship, I wouldn't have been able to go to WashU without that full ride, courtesy of the John B. Irvin Scholars Program, which aim was to bring more Black students on campus to diversify the campus. But since the government or Supreme Court ruled, I think this back in 2004, that they kind of amended the affirmative action thing, WashU said, well, we got to open up the Irvin program to everybody now. We just can't talk about it being just for race. You know, the interesting thing about the urban program, we had mixed people in the program, but it had a flavor about it that even though we was at a predominantly white institution, it was like a safe space for us black students navigating the predominantly white institution. We had, you know, Dean McLeod, um, and they all dead. I can't believe that. Dean Glore, Adrian Glore, Mrs. Elliott, they all gone. To me, they were like our parents away from home. They looked out for us. They really took care of us. It didn't have like it had a very personal family feel to it. You know, it was like a mom and pop shop. Then government said y'all gotta become Walmart. Y'all gotta become a super Walmart. You know, y'all can't be mom and pop, local corner grocery store, all that stuff where you feel safe and space. Now we got to open up. We got to corporatize this whole thing and open it up to everybody. So the program, I wrote a letter in protest about what they was doing the John B. Urban program. Back in 2004, I can recall it like it was yesterday. I wrote a letter to the administrators of the program. I think I wrote it to WashU. They said this is a joke. I said we have people who are alums, who are lawyers, legal. They're involved in politics and lobbying and stuff like that. Why don't they step up? Why don't we step up? In particular, those people with legal expertise help us navigate this and kind of fight back against it. And I remember Dean McLeod telling me, ain't no point of fighting back this. We got to go with what we got to go with. He didn't agree with it, but you know, he had a way about him that was very diplomatic. You know what I'm saying? He was a Leo. You know, he had a nice little afro. Dean McLeod kept the thing, very, very, tight and right for him. But he said, man, we just got, it is what it is. Because WashU didn't want to lose the billions and billions of dollars they got from the government as far as doing research. And nobody really cares about black folk, to be honest with you. We don't care about us. And that's another story for another day, but we'll touch on that as well. But the affirmative action thing, that was not surprising. It was years in the making. And like I said, it didn't really benefit black people as much as it could have, as far as its original intention from President Lyndon B. Johnson. That supposed to be like our reparations for black Americans who can trace their lineage through the slavery system. They could trace it all the way back to the founding of this republic. So I can name people from my family that were involved in the Revolutionary War. I can name my great 4 times removed, I guess. I don't think it's 3 times. I think it's 4 times removed grandfather who fought in the Civil War, who lost his brother, his twin brother, in the aftermath of the Battle of at Vicksburg. But they was from Tunica County. Frank Moon was his name. He used to be on a plantation now that's known as Moon Landing in Tunica County, Mississippi. But he was U.S. Color Troop. We do work about the 4 Pillow Massacre. So so I guess I'm recalling ancestral memory. It's funny, like I could think about I got into jazz music when I was a freshman in college, excuse me. And I started getting into Charlie Parker. I love the Charlie Parker stuff, not realizing until much later that my great uncles were childhood friends with Charlie Parker while they were growing up in Kansas City, and that Charlie Parker used to perform at their restaurants and other venues around Kansas. So, you thinking like, oh, I got a thing for Charlie Parker. Found out that he actually knew my folks from back in the day, and that they were childhood friends and business associates. So it's funny, like, even with Malcolm X, like I used to love, I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, and some white bully stole my book. I didn't realize he had my book, but he stole it. I mean, this happened in 7th grade, man. I used to get picked on a lot in school, and I getting picked on by the system right now, by institutions and stuff. I feel like I'm being targeted for some reason. I wonder why. But I remember like having a thing about Malcolm X growing up, especially when the movie came out and all that. I had my Malcolm X glasses, not realizing that Malcolm used to stay with my cousins in Ghana. My cousin, the late great revolutionary Julian Mayfield, who shares a birthday with Jimmy Lonsborough on June the 6th. They used to take in Malcolm and let him stay with them in Ghana. His wife was Dr. Anna Olivia Cordero. Her birthday is coming up, I think, 4th of July. So she was the personal physician of Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois. But Malcolm would come to Ghana and stay with them as an honored guest. So that's another connect. Like, I love Charlie Parker. I love Malcolm X. Kind of find out my family connections to these 2 iconic historical figures. I mean, God don't make no mistakes. So my thing is, I talked about 30 minutes and not talked about everything, but I talked this about affirmative action, right? Affirmative BS. Okay, let's check out the chat. Thank you, bro, for stopping by. I really appreciate you, man. Thanks for checking out. To check in and get in when you fit in. Hola, Nori. We love you madly. Thank you for joining us. Okay, appreciate it. Oh yeah, I love my hats. Thank you, sister, for dropping by. Golden Aries Okie. Love my fedoras, love my hats. Like some people love shoes. I'm a hat guy. I love hats. I think that's I get that from my grandpa, Arthur Taylor Sr., who would have been 100 years old on June 20th. He loved hats. I think it's a Taylor gang thing. I might be related to Wiz Khalifa because I'm part of the Taylor gang. Arthur Taylor, seeing a lot of our Taylor guys on that side, we love to wear hats. He said, not really a fan of Roy Wilkins. I hear you. Okay. Why is that? I always say this about Roy Wilkins. He did attend Fred Hampton's funeral. And it's good and bad to everybody. It's a pros and cons to anybody. Roy is complex because he's a human like anybody else. So, but at the same time, well, my point was that he still had, you had men at the helm of these organizations, whatever their agenda was. That's a different story. But you had black men leading up these organizations, but you can't name really too many organizations today that have strong black heads, black patriarchs, or black men in leading roles. I can't name too many. We actually had it better in terms of we had more black men being vocal. Even our sports stars like Jim Brown, who just passed on, they were more vocal because the reason why they wasn't making the same amount of money as LeBron James and all these other folks, they were more connected still to the community because they still had to get jobs in the off season. A lot of these guys, they'll go in the off season, go to school to get better educated, get better paying gigs, and all this stuff as far as another career outside of their sport. But things have gotten so extreme right now, and that's why I'm doing this podcast. Just touch light on a little bit of things. Peace, peace. Thank you for joining us, Prester John. We love you madly. He said about Roy and reading Medgar Evers' letters of correspondence between Roy Wilkins and appeared as though he kind of helped Medgar Evers back and held him back and restricted him from collaborating with many. My issue with the NACP as it relates to Medgar Evers, this probably is true, but I think Medgar requested like security help, like bodyguards. Like he's on the front lines. Medgar didn't really have any type of support in the field. He was the field secretary of the NACP. Medgar Evers' birthday is July the 2nd. But he didn't have the help he should have as far as he was like basically on his own in no man's land and got him killed. But I believe that the NACP did apologize to Mrs. Merle Evers Williams, his widow, about not providing her husband with the proper security and protection. Too little, too late, but decades later did acknowledge a wrong. They did. And also NACP disrespected the Medgar Evers family again by not officially acknowledging the passing of the late great Charles Evers, Medgar's big brother, who was his true brother's keeper. He came back to Mississippi from Chicago with guns on the plane looking for the killers of Medgar, but ended up taking Medgar's place as the field secretary for the NACP, and the rest is history. He made his own lane. So I'm not going to argue with that over what you said. It's how you do your research. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me that Roy kind of had a thing about holding back Medgar. It's kind of like even with Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam, when Malcolm wanted to go to war with the LAPD, Elijah said that's bad for business. Basically, when the LAPD killed Ronald Stokes, the Muslim and I think Army veteran, and then defiled the temple or mosque, Malcolm wanted to go to war with the LAPD, according to Dr. Manny Marable's interesting book about Malcolm X, The Reinvention, that he was ready to go guerrilla warfare, get them guns from the gangsters on the East Coast, whatever, bring them to California and go guerrilla warfare style with the LAPD. But Elijah wasn't about that life in terms of he didn't want to be involved in the civil rights movement. And it's interesting about Elijah Muhammad. He was getting checks from H.L. Hunt. I think he got an H.L. Hunt the Texas oil tycoon and media guy. He actually, from my understanding, was giving Elijah Muhammad check. Now I know H.L. Hunt basically, I think he was a white supremacist. You know, he was ultra racist, ultra conservative, but he was breaking off check to Elijah Muhammad according to the Judas Factor by Carl Evans that came out in the early '90s. That Malcolm discovered the relationship. Like also, Malcolm wasn't comfortable that the fact that Elijah Muhammad would deal with George Lincoln Rockwell, who was the head of the American Nazi Party. Like he invited him to Savior's Day or Founders Day. And I think he allowed him. I think he allowed George Lincoln Rockwell to address them on one occasion. I'm not sure, y'all gonna check it out, but Malcolm had issues. You know, Elijah Muhammad Nation Islam, they brought land from the Klan in Georgia. You know, Elijah Muhammad is from Georgia, but he was able to buy some real estate from Klan connected folk. I think Malcolm had a problem with that as well, but politics made for strange bedfellows, as they all say. So that's it. You said, I'm trying to get this to show. My computer acting weird. It's tricky. Let me see. They killed MLK's brother a year after King was murdered. Okay. Brother was a seasoned swimmer who mysteriously died in the pool. Stuff happens. Like Whitney Young died. He was a seasoned swimmer. He got killed in Africa in the ocean. You know, they got Whitney Young in the ocean swimming. I think off the coast of Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, stuff happens. Ain't what you know is what you can prove. When Dr. King family been targeted, that's why I talk about people saying that these folks are actors. You know, Shakespeare said it best, the world's a stage. We all acting. I'm acting right now. You all in the chats are acting, we're interacting, see how it works. But when Dr. King family, I remember reading an article from the 90s. Dr. King's family was spied on for at least 3 generations by the government. They were spying on Dr. King's family before he was born, starting with his maternal grandfather, who was over Ebenezer, that his father ended up taking over for, you know. So this doesn't surprise me. Even with Fred Hampton, the government started, you know, tapping the phone, I believe around he was 14 years old. And then when he was 21, 7 years later, they killed him. And this has been proven in court a lot that the government was involved in killing Fred Hampton because the informant, William O'Neill, which was part of the Panther security team, gave the floor plans to Fred Hampton's apartment to his handler, who gave it at the FBI, who gave it to the Chicago Police Department to raid Fred Hampton. I believe that was Thursday morning, December 4th, 1969. I believe that was on a Thursday. Y'all look it up. They got calendars and stuff. Look it up on your so-called smartphone. It's making you dumb by the minute. Look it up. Yeah, and his mother was shot by a Hebrew Israelite, and that was weird in itself too. I think his name was Wayne Marcus Chenault. I don't know. Was it Chenault or something like that? Wayne Marcus or something? Marcus Chenault. Y'all look that up too. I'm not going to look that up, but you know, these people, this targeting individual stuff is real, man. You look at the Kennedys. You look at the fact that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is running for president. It reminds you of his father, RFK Sr., who was assassinated June of '68. So that's been what? That's 55 years ago, right? So he basically told everybody, hey, look, the government, in particular CIA, was involved in killing my dad and my uncle, JFK. And that's okay, but it's not okay, but it's okay that he says that. And my idea of a great ticket at this point would be a Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Donald Trump fusion ticket. I believe that'd be the best bet for putting America first again, is to have a Donald Trump and a Robert F. Kennedy Jr. ticket. Because he guys are both threat to the powers that be. They got them shook so bad. I wonder why. Because both Trump and Kennedy are part of the elites, you know what I'm saying? They may not be liked in the country club. People might not want to sit next to them in the country club, but they're in the country clubs. So they telling us how it really works. But can we handle the truth? That's the question. A lot of times, most times we can't. It's just like I said, dealing with, is this love? Is this love? Is this love? Is this love that I'm feeling? No, you just need some sleep because NyQuil will help you get your Z's. So it had to be that, because sometimes you have the truth shake you back into reality. So this is where we at right now. Talking about everything. Thank you for joining, brother Chris, and peace to you as well. Brother Ron, do you think in other countries, brothers and sisters like, I know we are, and you willingly are being served. You giving them permission by being active on social media, by being even on this platform. We have given them permission to spy on us, and a lot of times they don't need informants because a lot of us tell all our business online. You share what you ate for dinner or lunch or breakfast. You posting this, you sharing your location, so they really don't have to have no agent provocateur informant. You are the informant. You are the agent provocateur. You are your own worst enemy. So like social media has been used to not only influence people. To me, social media is a form of mind control because people get obsessed over likes and shares. It's gotten so bad where people say, "Ooh, I think they like me. I think they like me," and then you don't see enough likes, you get all depressed. And then you hear a certain sound that got notification, you get all happy again. This is a drug. Social media is a drug. It's a hell of a drug, and they got us surveyed because they got cookies on our laptop and our phones. And it's funny. I can have a conversation about something with somebody on my phone. Next thing I know, I start getting like ads for the things we talked about or reference. And I start getting videos pop up dealing with the topic or subject matter that I spoke to with a person. I thought in privacy. We don't have privacy because they spying everywhere. So it's like we're in Nazi Germany with the brown shirts, especially with the pride stuff. If y'all know the brown shirts, the essays, look them up, who they were. It was a group of homicidal homos that did Hitler's bidding. They helped Hitler get power. Then once Hitler got in power, he said he had to do a Godfather kill off. So they had a thing called the Night of the Long Knives, where they basically got rid of a lot of these brown shirts, essays that were like Hitler's. They're like, I guess that was his version of the Proud Boys. I don't know, because I believe Donald Trump's getting a raw deal. That's just me. But yeah, we're being surveyed, man. You being watched right now. I always feel like somebody watching me. They watching us right now. The feds is watching. What Pac said. The feds is watching, man. Okay. Thank you for the donation. Slauson girl. Oh my God. I've been thinking about you a lot. I got to get you on the show. Slauson girl, you are a legend. I had no idea you was that one. Thank you for popping in and for the gas money. I appreciate it. That's gonna go a long way in the tank, you know. And so we're being watched, but we gave the consent to be watched. So it's not like they're spying when you allow them. It's like once you like look at those movies, once you invite the vampire in, then you gave the vampire consent to come in as they please without you even being notified. So once we agree to the terms of Meta or Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, we gave them consent because nobody's reading all that. We're not reading the so-called fine small print. Nobody reads it. I know nobody reads it because I don't read it. I want access to something. I just sign up for it. We are constantly giving away all our rights. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't even really own your body because they give you a thing called Social Security number, right? So you being tracked from the day you born to the day you die. No longer a person, not because you're not a human, but because you are property of Uncle Sam. Think my face. Okay, you are property of Uncle Sam. They own you. That means that if something happened to you, they don't have to tell your loved ones exactly what happened to you because when you sign your name with them, you made a contract. You gave up certain things, certain rights over your life. That means you property of Uncle. That means Uncle Sam could do a horrible thing. They could do these guinea pig tests on you, and they don't have to give your family any explanation. It's like with Emmett Till. His family trying to fight for years, his mom, to what happened to his father. You know, the only way she could identify Emmett Till's body was by the ring that she gave him with the initials LT. That's his father, Louis Till. That was his father's ring. And his father got killed crazy overseas 10 years before Emmett, where they accused him of raping and killing white women, I believe, in Italy. Him and his co-defendant, Fred McMurray, not the actor, but this was a black man, these two black men in the kangaroo court of Uncle Sam. And the women, from my understanding, from what I read, they refused to identify these black men as the culprits in their kidnapping and rape. I said some white women were killed, and some people were saying it was white men or white men that actually did the killing and raping, but they put it on Emmett's father. So he was killed by the army, whatever, and they put him in a grave in the undesirable section of the veteran cemetery over in France. That's where he's at to this day. But there'd been a push to exonerate this man's name because they didn't get a fair trial. Him or his co-defendant rights was undermined. If you think about what was done, because nobody identified them, women refused to identify them as the guys. From my reading, I don't, it's like you read stuff. I hope that they're telling them the truth. Like I said, I hope this person that, I'm infatuated with will tell me the truth about who she really is. But then, it's just a roll of the dice because y'all know so much about me. I'm not lying about who I am on here. It's more to me off of this platform. But I have been honest about who I am. I have not been falsely representing something. It's like looking at the Tupac documentary. And let me see. I hope I'm touching something. I know I'm all over the place, but I got to bring up the Tupac documentary with the Hughes brother, Allen Hughes. I had to watch it for myself. I just finished watching it Friday. I thoroughly enjoyed it as a Tupac fan. I thoroughly enjoyed what he did. He's a master film director. The Hughes brothers, they did some classes. Now, I wish they would have did Dead Presidents differently, but it's still like great Minister Society classic. They did that movie with Johnny Depp and Jack the Ripper. That was pretty good. Hughes brothers, they pretty good at what they do. But I think this documentary was great, especially for folks that don't know really about Pop, but it shows the complexities of who Pop was. Pop wasn't lying because people keep on talking about, well, he sounded different at 17. Yeah, he was different. He was 17. He was, he died at 25. So think about all the stuff he went through in those 8 years. Like he said, I didn't have a record till I made a record. So he was a targeted individual. He probably been the leader of the new Black Panther Party. The Panther Club. He won, if he never got that record deal, he was going to go full time into his activist work in the community. And maybe we would have been better off. Maybe not. I mean, Tupac probably still be here right now if he went that route versus what route he went. But Tupac was most definitely a targeted individual. And people send me stuff about Tupac being an actor. He wasn't real. Well, somebody got killed in Vegas. Somebody died in Vegas. Whoever that person was playing Tupac, he dead. I don't believe Tupac survived that. Because Tupac don't strike me as the type of person to be quiet for like over 25 years. But I think I can recall that the CIA created their Twitter page. And they said something about, they referenced, I think the first tweet referenced Tupac. Let me look that up. I think the first tweet referenced Tupac. People calling me. My phone acting crazy. Let me see. CIA first tweet, Tupac. Y'all can look this up too. I'm trying to see if their first tweet, they said something about Tupac not being alive or I can't dang people. Okay, yeah. CIA. This was back in July of 2014. CIA, no, we don't know where Tupac is. So their first tweet was about that. Let me see. Would it show on here? Can y'all see that? Yeah. CIA, this is official CIA Twitter page. This was their first tweet. No, we don't know where Tupac is. So I bring that up. The reason why I brought that up was because some people believe that Affini made a deal with the government to give up Tupac as a CIA asset. Some people believe that, and I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm a fan, but I don't know because I think that whole thing is interesting. You know, it's interesting to see footage of Afeni as a young woman. She was, very attractive, brilliant, and how did they know? How did they know that this woman? We got to put a camera on her and capture her for posterity. I don't know. It's interesting. Um, was Tupac a CIA asset? You know, some people believe that Death Row was a CIA front, which could have been possible because the CIA is involved in the entertainment industry complex. Just look up the term Operation Mockingbird, where it talks about U.S. intelligence controlling news agencies, whether it be ABC News or 60 Minutes or the Washington Post. It talks about the CIA's involvement in controlling information in news organizations. This is not a conspiracy. See, the thing about it is, what I talk about are not conspiracies like that. Yo, spooky wookie. No, what they do, they tell you what they're going to do. They always telling us what they're going to do. Y'all think this AI thing, this artificial intelligence thing just happened. No, they told you through Hollywood, through movies like The Terminator, I, Robot, go on and on, even with these apocalyptic zombies, World War Z, They Live, come on, Night of the Living Dead, come on. They've been telling you for years what's coming down the pipe. They even used The Simpsons. Donald Trump, Prince Death, Donald Trump being elected president, Simpsons submarine thing that happened recently, submersible. I haven't even talked about that yet. I got a story about that, which it's interesting. Like, it's not a story necessarily about the sub, but about the mindset of people like that. Because I had an interesting talk with Steve Fawcett, the guy who flew his hot air balloon around the world or something like that. I tried to get his help in helping my art career. And I wrote him a letter with a package of my art and some other things. And it was interesting. I called him on the same day that he sent my stuff back to my mom's home. And we had an interesting conversation. I'm going to say that for another day, but he ended up dying in a plane crash, I think in Nevada. It took him a while to find his body. They couldn't find where he crashed at. They eventually found him, I think, some months later. But we had a little short exchange, because I remember when I was coming in as a freshman at WashU in St. Louis, how he had his command station for his hot air, his hot air balloon. Like, he had his command on the steps of the Brookings or the administrative building. And he did not succeed that year I came into WashU. But I think by 2002, he actually did succeed. So it took him several years to finally get where he wanted to go. So I commended him on that. But anyway, I'm going to get back on. But was he CIA asset? Because people think about Obama. People think Obama was CIA asset. You think about his grandmother may be a banker for the CIA. Think about his mom. Think about his stepfather. I do not believe the African was his father. I believe that the guy was a black dude from Chicago named Frank Marshall Davis. That was his actual father. I still believe he talked about this man in his book, Dreams of My Father. That was his mentor, I guess, in Hawaii. I think Frank Marshall Davis took news of his mom, took photographs of his mom. See, I'm going to tell you something. There's a lot of weirdness going on that we're not aware of. We think it's normal, but it's really weird. And the world's a stage. So everybody's playing a role. Even you out there, y'all playing roles. So to say that Tupac is an actor, yes, he's an actor because the world's a stage. He's acting his position, but like what his aunt said, his aunt Glow, who's one of the highlights of the whole docuseries, it's mythology. It's about myth making with Afeni and her son. You creating myths and legends to be told for generations. This is how you trick death. This is how you beat death, by becoming a myth. It could be told and retold and repackaged and retold in different ways for generations to come. So Tupac faked his death. No, he didn't fake his death. He survived his death for immortality. So to say that Tupac wasn't real, I don't think that's true to me, because the world's a stage. So everybody's acting, because like to say that Tupac at 17, people say, oh, he's effeminate. No, he's a sensitive soul. It's like he like that song Vincent by Don McLean, whatever, about Vincent Van Gogh, What people don't understand about Vincent Van Gogh, this came out recently, over the recent years, about what really happened to Vincent Van Gogh. Vincent Van Gogh was a phenomenal artist that was not appreciated in his lifetime. He only sold one painting his entire life. Now his painting is worth tens of millions of dollars now. I um no, Vincent was famous. He was a sucker for love too. He went all the way in because he cut his ear off to give to a prostitute. Now I'm a sucker for love too. Ain't gonna lie, I be doing crazy stuff. I drive across the country over 1,000 miles, try to meet somebody who won't meet me. I do stuff like, to have a conversation. That's who I am. I'm a just different animal. But Vincent was actually probably killed by some young boys that was playing around with guns. They had a thing about the Wild West and Buffalo Bill Cody and all this stuff. And so they had some American guns, like, Western pistols, Wild West pistols. I think they were playing around, and Vincent got shot. I don't know if it was by intentionally. I don't know if they was intentionally trying to shoot Vincent Van Gogh, but he got shot. Because people said, why he shoot himself in a certain place? Why not shoot himself? Because he didn't shoot himself. It was other folks that shot him. But what I think he called himself doing is that he protected these boys from any type of criminal charges. Like he was willing to take the charge of losing his life to make sure that them boys would not be traumatized by going to prison or jail, whatever. So that's the story now. That's the story now. And I can actually believe that story more. But like even with Tupac, he gave his life for the cause. He took bullets for people. He took bullets for ideas. So I'm not gonna cheapen his memory by saying that he wasn't real, because to me, it was a facet of his personality. But what's interesting about Pac thing, what Edie Amin, who I interviewed a couple of years ago, said, Pac should have took a year off. He didn't have a chance to process what he'd been through as far as trauma, going to jail on the fake accusations. Now, I've just recently got into a situation, coming out of a situation when people trying to accuse me, a person trying to accuse me of something I didn't do, and they speaking really bad on my name. I don't have no ill will towards this person, but this person really, it really bothered me that they were willing to make accusations that could not be proven, that weren't true, because it didn't happen. And that's something that, as a black man, I think about. Eddie Griffin said that every black man, no matter how successful you do, all the great things you do, they're going to put an asterisk by your name. And this is the game that people play. And I'm very, I get concerned about stuff, but then it shows me, like Baba Dick told me, be careful about, who you deal with, because you don't know who these people are. Be careful about meeting folks at bars and sitting next to people. Look what happened to Cuba Gooding Jr. He's still in trouble, man. He said, I ain't want to be OJ. I bet he wish he was OJ right now, because OJ is free like OJ all day, baby. I'm just saying, it was OJ would say. But be careful, man, because people could meet you at a bar and take a picture with you, and they say, "Oh, man, I know Brother Ron. This is we were buddies. Look at that's us in DC at the bar." I had this happen. Man, by the grace of God, man. I think I almost got set up recently. I just, by the grace of God, man, God is good. But I'm just still trying to process that. So to imagine what Tupac went through, we got, not only set up and lied on in court, but also getting shot at, and seeing folks that you thought were your friends. Why are y'all looking at me and not telling me, it's a trap? Why they didn't warn me? Like I'm right now, I can identify with that type of paranoia, because I don't know who people are. People say they know me, Brother Ron, but I don't really know nobody else. People know more about me than I do them. And then, like, people are not always who they say they are. So with Pac, he did what he had to do to try to protect himself, but he's 25, and he just, like he said it in the documentary, like he said, I wanted to go to acting school, but he said, I live enough experiences to draw on my acting, because he was a method actor. Pac was very gifted as an actor. He was, but he drove off method acting. That's why he used to hang out with the gangsters like Haitian Jack and all them. He was picking up on their habits and body language to incorporate into his characters. So he was like a chameleon, like his drummer teacher said. He's a chameleon. He could pick up on things. He could have been a comedian because Pac was naturally funny. And you see some of those extra footage, backstage footage of Pac clowning around and stuff. He's a very talented individual. And this country eats his young. So I don't know, did I finally give up Tupac for the CIA to get out? I don't know. But I'm not against exploring things like that at all. But for me, people could say these things about me. Well, Brother Ron, he's an agent. Look at his bloodline, da da da. I said, you got Prince Hall Freemasons on this side, da 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 da. Okay, but don't mean I'm an agent. I don't have no awareness of me ever being. I don't think I'm born identity. I could be wrong, but I think everybody we walk around, we're walking advertisements for agendas we may not be aware of. You understand? You may not be aware because, like, you look at the projects. The projects is just that, the project. It's about behavior modification. It's like in Memphis, they knocked down the projects and moved those people across town out east, and that became the hood. Where they moved them at used to be Hickory Hill, but we call it Hickory Hood, because how you gonna take a person that's used to living on top of each other in small confined spaces and give them a backyard or give them a front yard to maintain and cut the grass? They don't know how to do that. They've been programmed to always live in tight spaces and filled with anxiety. So how do you expect them to adapt when you don't reboot their programming? When you don't do some type of reverse behavior modification so they can understand, okay, I got to cut my grass, I got to maintain this, da da da. I got space to move. It's a different life, but your reality is based on your perception. So if you used to live in the projects, you're going to manifest that wherever you go. You're going to create a ghetto wherever you go. And then at the same time, they knock down the projects, they put up condominiums and luxury apartments. And they've been the project for 60 years, but they put in some luxury apartments and condominiums within a year or two time. Same real estate. Now it's worth more than it was when they were when the black folks were living there? No, it's a game, man. It's a game. Everything's an illusion. So to say that Tupac was real, that means the world ain't real. And the world is a stage. So there you go. The games, the games, the games. But let me talk about, speaking of Tupac, let me play this clip. Because people don't understand what Tupac, Tupac. Look, let me play this clip. And this was done, he was at the Brotherhood Crusade rally. This was done just days before he got shot in Vegas. And I think this may have got him killed to me. This little small thing he was saying may have got him killed. This is We All Be, News Free Dixie for the 21st century. I'm just freestyling right now. Just freestyle, but hope I hit my mark and get out of here within an hour. But let me play this Pac thing, man. That's Snoop Dogg. Snoop's still here. That's interesting. Snoop's still around, but Pac is dead, Nate Dogg dead. But anyway.
How y'all doing out there? We just want y'all to know at Death Row, we appreciate everything y'all doing for us. Our record sales, we got 6 million. Snoop got 4 million. Dog Pound got 3 million. And we keep going. That means we represent that many votes. If we can represent that many votes, we got to let these politicians be scared of us. That means every time we drop something, y'all got to pick it up. And every time y'all call for us, we going to come. All right, now we going to let Dog talk. What's up, y'all?
So that was actually a political rally for the Brotherhood Crusade in 1996. This is just days before they got Tupac in Vegas. And actually, it was protesting some, I want to say Schlesinger, I know, some anti-affirmative action policy that the governor was trying to put in place at the time. Something about affirmative action they were trying to protect. So this is 1996. And you see in that short clip of Tupac, what his mind was at. Tupac was like the Che Guevara of hip hop. He was a revolutionary mind. He was thinking about forming a political party. He said we could get people to buy that many albums and songs and stuff. That means we got a political base that needs to be politicized. So he was thinking like Fred Hampton was thinking back in the 60s. Let me politicize these people, these gangs, these tribes. Because Tupac in another interview talking about, I want to create a political party for the lost tribe motherfuckers. Not just black people, but he talking about Armenians, all the people, the lost tribe people, the people that's been displaced and been marginalized and oppressed. He want to organize everybody. To me, that sounds like a rainbow coalition that Fred Hampton was talking about in the 60s. And that make you a threat. The Tupac was turning that corner like Dr. King was turning that corner when he got shot in the face. Tupac was turning that corner and shot him in the chest. He got shot 5 times the first time. They finished the job the second time. But that was he was on. It was not about him running for president because I think he had felonies. I mean, he had a record. He didn't have a record till he made a record, right? He was dealing with all the stuff he was dealing with. But it was about him creating a political party that put the interests of black people first and other people who could identify, but particularly black people, giving us, not only having a political party, but also having lobbyists in Congress. See, Tupac was thinking, he was Machiavelli for real. He was channeling that Machiavellian spirit, and he was making chess moves. He didn't get a chance to finish the game, though. They finished him. But Tupac was seen around the corner. And, we don't have celebrities like that no more. We don't have people activist minded. Because Tupac was not just a celebrity, he was a child of the revolution. Paul Robeson was not just a celebrity, he was a revolutionary. Paul Robeson. That's the one that Malcolm learned how to do public speaking from, the great Paul Robeson. He's like, if you put, he was like Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, and Jim Brown put together or something. He was phenomenal. The tallest tree in our forest, according to Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune. And we don't even talk about Paul Robeson. Y'all talking about Shirley Chisholm. Y'all don't even y'all talking about Tina Turner. Y'all ain't talking about Jim Brown or Harry Belafonte like y'all love Tina. Ain't nothing wrong with that, Miss Nutbush, but I'm just saying, there's no love for black men, especially ones that stand up for something, that stand on principle, that have an actual moral compass. And, they could give you asterisk all day long, but there's no love for a black man in a society like this. And Tupac had to die to get some love, man. That's sad, but Tupac was trying to fight for the people, and that's quite evident. And let me see. And we got to reclaim that rainbow, man. We give away everything, man. Get the rainbow back and put the black and brown back in the rainbow. Put the black and brown back in the rainbow. Get that rainbow back. We got to do it. Do it for Tupac. Do it for Fred Hampton, Senior Chairman Fred, but do it for us. Got to get the rainbow back. I'm trying to see something. I think I'm touching on everything. Just going on a roundabout way of doing it. I'm just freestyling, man. I'm trying to train myself to give y'all more content. Thank you for the donation. Appreciate it, brother Jermaine. I'm working on the Rumble channel, man. Thank you. You said for ready. I know you. I'm working on that Rumble. I'm working for alternatives as listening. We all be. I'm tired of the censorship. I'm breaking free. We all be free. I'm gonna break free from all that. But let's see. Because I want to talk about hidden Black queer music history. Because I know I make references about it, but I want to just do a show where I can show y'all the visuals along with the information. So I can have this in the archives, really. I could cut it up next time and we did the show about it. But I'm trying to find. Let me see. Okay, I got something. And thank y'all for supporting We All Be. You know who you are. Very overwhelming to know that people really care and that people have benefited from the God work. I mean, that to me is not. But like I said, I have been off track a little bit for the last couple of weeks, really for 9 months. Now I'm getting back on track. I'm realizing that God got some work for me to do. And, love is love. But really, like Dick Gregory said, told me and told us, it's not about being in love. It's about being lovable. It's about you emanating love, and you could get it back some type of way, but it's about Just being lovable, man. I think I'm a lovable cat. I think I am. I think they like me. Ooh, I think y'all like me. I think y'all like me. A little bit. Just a little bit. Just a touch. A little bit. Let me put this up for the brothers. Respect to these guys, these black men. Let's see. Hold these brothers up. That's Chairman Fred and brother Tupac. Get that on the screen. Fred Hampton was just 21 years old, but he was targeted by the government at least when he was 14. Well, I always tell people, his mom was Emmett Till's babysitter. Emmett Till was like a neighbor of the Hamptons, and she used to babysit Emmett Till. But then she lost her son at only 21. And Tupac, growing up, was made aware of the sacrifices and the greatness of Fred Hampton. He spoke on his name, and I think he was in his way continuing the work of Fred Hampton and politicizing the street gangs. Like, Tupac wasn't no Crip or Blood. He was, he got love for thugs. He ain't Crip or Blood, but he wore their colors. But it was about, trying to unite the tribes, like Fred Hampton was doing in Chicago back in the day, to try to politicize them, because black folks talking about we ready for revolution. Where's our military? Where's our street team? Where's our street committee? We don't have one. We have people out there, but they need to be woken up. And people are neglecting, when it comes to voting, they're neglecting the 18 to 25-year-old demographic. Like even in Memphis, mayor race, a lot of them ain't focusing. The mayoral candidates are not focusing on the 18 to 25-year-old demographic. It's like they're taking it for granted. And I know with Judge O'Brien's actually have been meeting with street people and trying to get their vote and endorsement. But what I'm saying is, that's a sleeping giant right there, that 18 to 25-year-old demographic. And, they don't teach civics in school. I mean, they keep us dumbed down for a reason. They give us smartphones to make us even dumber. But what I'm saying is, we need that Tupac, Fred Hampton energy to deal with our young people, to wake their minds up. Because a lot of them have checked out and not tuned in because they don't see a future for themselves in this thing. Because playtime is really over. My thing is, if we want reparations and all this stuff, we got to do things we never done before to get what we always wanted. If we serious about it, look at what Fred Hampton tried to do. And then, Tupac, look at what he tried to do, but look at also what he was talking about when he said, I want to create this party where we all can eat. We all be in it to win it. That's what I'm saying. But it's really about the rainbow. It's not about your sexual preference. It's about your humanity. So what I'm saying is, reclaim the rainbow. Don't give up. Like, we allowed them to take the word gay, to distort the word gay. Gay meant happy, and it means what it means now. But we allowed that without any pushback. And I wasn't around when they made the decision really to make that mean what it means today. But with the rainbow means more than just, getting your freak on. No disrespect. It means liberation. It means unity, solidarity. It means standing with people on principle and humanity. We need to reclaim that rainbow and put black and brown back in the rainbow, man. That's what I'm saying. So Tupac tried, Fred Hampton tried. Who got next? Who got next? But anyway. Yeah, Roberson was too much next level that they try to kill him. They try to make him commit suicide in Russia. They drugged him so bad he almost committed suicide. That's how much of a threat he was. They took away his passport so he couldn't even make an income as an entertainer. He went through a lot of hell. It's like what Dizzy Gillespie said in his book, his autobiography. Paul Robeson was crucified, basically. Malcolm and Martin was killed. They get a grace killing. They knocked them out before they even really got started at 39. But they tortured, Paul Robeson till he was almost 80 years old and he died. And Steve Coakley, he paid a price too, though, because he exposed a lot and they made the powers that think they be pretty upset, especially the black bule, and then blackballed him. And God, made God be pleased with the righteous ancestor though, but he was a pioneer for what some of us are trying to do today. Yeah, think about the music though. The music has been so low vibrational for a while now. With the hip hop and rap, I think about Juice World and all these people. Somebody, Dr. Black told me, words create worlds, right? So Tupac said, I never had a record until I made a record. So he manifested that. Biggie said he was ready to die, his first album, but his second album was called Life After Death, and it came out after he was killed. So these rappers, they casting spells with their words, man. That's why you look at, Fred Hampton was a brilliant orator. Fred Hampton probably would have been a drill rapper or something. I don't know. He would have been a rapper today instead of being a revolutionary. Tupac would have been a revolutionary. He would have been with the Panthers back then, whatever. But like they took our revolutionaries and made it to like court jesters. Like Tupac was a court jester. I mean, he didn't create his own currency, right? He was using their currency. He using their movie studios to make movies. He using their music industry to get his stuff out there and all that stuff. So he, that's not it's not on Tupac. What I'm saying is, we got these unrealistic expectations for these, entertainers. They signed a contract. They gotta do what they told. But Tupac was a rebel. Don't get me wrong, but still, he's on a contract with Death Row. He's on a contract with so and he still wanted to be in. So he wanted to be down with the industry and all that stuff. So it's like human beings are very complex because people talking about, well, so and so sold out. I said, well, whose image is on your money? Who bank do you go to? Where do you do your banking at? You know what I'm saying? We all slaves by another name. We all stuck on this matrix plantation until further notice. So what I'm saying is, you listen to the music, the low vibrational music with the drug usage and the murder and rape and all this stuff. That's rap music. I mean, it's funny how NBA Youngboy, very talented rapper, he took accountability for the music he was making. That he realized now that a lot of his music controls people for the ignorant, for the worse. Like he said, man, I'm putting stuff out there that's really affecting people's behavior and moods. And he's not a stupid guy, but he made a choice because he get that bag, man. It's funny how they'll give somebody like John Morant all that money because they know a fool and his money will soon part ways, right? If I got just 10% of John Morant's money, oh, brother Ron, oh my God, we don't want you to have just 10. If I got 5% of what he makes, you know how much of a difference I can make with that? I'm doing it without no money, barely. We still doing stuff. Imagine we had support to do more. And that will make me a threat. And that's why they come down demonizing, demonetizing my channel, doing other things, suspending me from uploading and live streaming and stuff like that. They do a lot of crap. But anyway. Mm. I hear you. Right. They're entertaining. Even Dick Gregory, he knew his role in the movement. He knew that he was there to raise awareness and money for Mega Evans and Dr. King and people like that. He wasn't trying to be the leader. He was there as support and offering the resources. He knew his role very well. But I know people talk, well, Malcolm X said he a court jester. Look at Dick Gregory. I mean, entertainers are court jesters. They're there to distract. They serve at the pleasure of their king. And like I said, you can't serve two masters. I mean, Yeah, but there's good music out there that doesn't get that promotion. It's like they don't give you options to have choices. You know, like it's music out there. People say R&B dead. I said I hear some great R&B music, but it's not pushed by the industry or the powers that think they be. And that's the problem. People don't know there's other things outside the mainstream or lamestream. Not about pressing keyboard down, it's about what they not letting you see. It's like when I'm on my phone and I'm having a conversation that I think is private, but I know it's not private. I go on YouTube, the stuff I was talking about shows up in the videos that they choose, like the algorithms. Like this stuff is all about mind control. You don't really have choices because they won't allow you to know. It's like in Memphis, there's a whole bunch of people running for mayor of Memphis. But when I read the paper here, they'll show pictures of all the folks they say running. But where's Judge Joe Brown? Like people don't know that he's running. Everybody don't know Judge. Everybody's not on social media. Everybody's not on computers or laptops or so-called smartphones. A lot of folks don't know because you got the media, the local media here controls the narrative. They said we're just going to allow them to know about these people and not about that person for whatever reason. It's kind of like if you go back to 2004 with the presidential debates with the Democratic Party. I can still remember Dennis Kucinich like it was yesterday. I think he ran in 2004 and 2008. No, Dennis Kucinich was the representative from Ohio. No, he was not, he wasn't photogenic, let's just put it like that. And he didn't look the part, but he had great ideas that he could articulate. Ideas that should have got better coverage than it did. But when they used to do the debates with the Democratic candidates, they'll like he didn't exist. Like they'll focus on somebody else. You may hear him from time to time, but they'll be focusing on a certain group of Democratic presidential candidates and not him. It's like they made sure that you really didn't really hear or see him. So like with Judge, it's like people know if people knew he was running, a lot of them say, "Well, I'll come out and vote," but they don't know because that the media ain't gonna show. You know. Yeah, I don't watch none of that actually. I don't even watch local news. People just give me information. Exactly, and people should be more aware. Like, why do you trust them? Like, Trump is the only president to be going through all the stuff he went through. He has not done, in my opinion, he has not done the damage that people think he's done. He actually helped the country. He was trying to help people, in spite of his narcissistic self. He was trying to be of help to the country. I really believe that. And he folks talking about he this and that. People becoming weird to me. Like, people say, well, he's responsible for the affirmative action getting ended. I said, well, look at Joe Biden's 50 plus year as a political operative. Look at the policies that he was behind, three strikes, whatever, crime bill, Joe, all this stuff that decimated the black family in particular, but family in general, but that really destroyed the black family infrastructure. He had played a huge part in that versus Donald Trump being president for 4 years and every day they talk about Russiagate and trying to undermine his presidency, trying to undermine his effectiveness. But I think he was effective for all the things considered that he had to go through. That he actually was an effective president. He got the fear of God in these people. He put the fear of God in some of these people and some of these operatives. But people say, well, he put them judges. He's the one. And then with the abortion thing and with the student loan forgiveness and with the affirmative action, Trump put a whole bunch of judges in. But here's the thing: if Trump really had that type of power, some of them judges would have ruled in his favor to make sure, hey, we got to recount the votes for the 2020 election, or he still will be in office to take, his second term. Because I still don't believe that Biden got 80 million votes. I don't. He couldn't even get 80 people to come to a drive-through, let alone 80 million votes. Get out of here. But anyway, people believe what they want to believe. Be what you want to be. But anyway, let me move on. And before I move on, let me play this video. Like, feed the feeder or feed we all be. We need your help. And I know out there you benefited from We All Be. Please feel free to help. And then play them go into the hidden black queer music history, whatever I said, because it was Black Music Month. Now it's something else. It's July. It's the first day of July now for me officially. But let me play this, and we'll be right back. Woo, boy. Yeah, it's just interesting, man. The times we live in. May you always live in interesting times, and we definitely live in some very interesting times. A love supreme, a love supreme, a love supreme, a love supreme, a love for you, a love for me, a love for we. Da, 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 da. Okay.
Greetings, family. This is your brother, Brother Ron.
Mm-mm.
Requesting your help to help save We All Be. The feeder needs you all to feed We All Be. We All Be has been under attack due to heavy censorship tactics on social media. They're trying to shut us down, but we won't give up, give in, or give out without a fight, because we all be in it to win it. Please think about donating to the cause. You can try Vimo, our Cash App, our PayPal options. You can support us through Patreon, patreon.com/We All Be. You can buy Artivist art, r2c2h2.com. You can wear Artivist art. Go to our Teespring, r2c2h2's place. We all be in it to win it. Know that the best is yet to come. And thank you all for your continued support. We love you madly. And please also remember, family, if you want to keep up with all things We All Be, please join our mail list. You can email yours truly, Brother Ron, at weallbe@gmail.com. Once again, that's weallbe@gmail.com to keep up with what's going on with We All Be. Remember, information is power, and knowledge is the currency of the universe. But please feed We All Be so that the feeder can keep on feeding the people. One love. Can you dig it? I sure can. Amplify blessings, amplify blessings, amplify blessings, and thank you, thank you, thank you. See how it works. Somewhere. And please remember and never forget that we love you madly.
I don't know why that video won't play right. The screen won't show right. I put the full screen treatment on there, but y'all get the gist of what I'm doing. Support the feeder and supporting We All Be, so continue to feed you all information, because information is power and knowledge is the currency of the universe. All right, got Gail Jones. Hey, bro, Ron and chat. Hey, how you doing? Sister Gail, right? From NC. All right, thank you for joining us. Said Trump made the EU pay up, and PBS has a special on how they tried to undermine him and make him fall or fail, and it was issues with voting. That's why they don't talk about my pillow guy and his case. Of course, the Trump, I believe Trump won the 2020 election, and I believe everything that happened in 2020, one of the biggest things the objective was to get him out of office, because he was messing up the New World Order marching orders. You messing up the New World Order marching orders. He got in the way, and Trump is a part of the elite, but he's the member of the country club that they can't stand. But they got to let him in because of his family connections, but they don't want him in there. But he's in there, just like Robert Kennedy Jr. He's a part of that country club, but they don't want him in there either. But he's in there, and they're telling us that the game is rigged, and it's waking up the people, man. But people can't even see. Like, it's hard to talk to people. It's not really hard for me, but I think it's, you start, especially black people, we are so politically immature when it comes to politics at a high level. We get very emotional when it shouldn't be that emotional. Like, I know black folks, their blood pressure go up when they think about Trump. I don't understand that. To me, it should be like what you think when you think about Biden. That's when you should be getting angry and stuff like that. If you look at the history of what this man has done in order to get in that position, that we shouldn't be in the first place because he didn't win the election, as far as I'm concerned. It is what it is. Okay, yeah. It's been a minute since I seen you on here, Gail. Welcome back. Welcome black. Yeah, okay, let me talk about this black queer music history and get on out of here. Oh my God, there's so much to talk about. It was Black Music Month and Pride Month. I just want to talk about this. We all be news free dicks for the 21st century. And I thank y'all for supporting what we all be, what y'all been, what we've been doing for years. A lot of y'all recent supporters, we really appreciate the support, man, because that what makes this worthwhile when people say there's a need for this type of content. So regardless of what YouTube trying to demonize me or whatever, I'm still gonna push on for the people because the marathon continues. For some people, it's a sprint. I'm trying to see something. Okay, let me see. Let's talk about queer eye for the music guy. Queer eye for the music guy, I guess. Some black queer music history that needs to be better known. I'm not a hater. I give credit where credit due. So I want to share that. Talk about this man. We all know who that guy is with the mustache. That's Mr. Duke Ellington. We love you madly. I would say he's America's greatest composer. To me, he's America's greatest composer. Duke was truly beyond category. Man wrote thousands of songs, but that guy next to him was a very close guy to him. His name was Billy Strayhorn. His mother called him Bill. You're right. Billy Strayhorn from Pittsburgh. That was like Duke Ellington's partner in music. Duke is interesting. Duke was definitely a ladies' man. He had women all over the place, but one of his closest associates was a gay man, an openly gay man, a brilliant artist, composer, a pianist, Billy Strayhorn. He was with Duke Ellington, I believe, from like 1938 to the day he died in 1967 of throat cancer, I believe. But let me talk about Mr. Billy Strayhorn, why he matters. And cause this is black queer music history, because I said, well, it was Pride Month and it was Black Music Month. Why not talk about some of these black gay people that made an impact in the business? Now I can talk about, we all know other people in gospel and R&B and stuff like that, but I want to focus on him and this other guy. And this is We All Be News Free Dixie. News Free Dixie. Damn. Okay. My phone is working now. All these text messages coming through. I'm sorry you're hearing the ring. I have not been getting service for like hours on my phone. Not everything is coming through. Everything is coming through now. Ding. Oh my God. It's like a Mercury retrograde. Okay. Yeah, I'll get through this. But let's talk about Billy Strayhorn. Billy Strayhorn He wrote Take the A Train. Y'all associate Duke Ellington with Take the A Train. Hurry, 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 take the A Train. You find it's the fastest way to get to Harlem. If you decide to take the A Train. That's the Duke Ellington Orchestra theme song. He actually wrote that for Duke. But Duke had high praise for Billy Strayhorn. Let me read some stuff about him off of Wikipedia. His personal life, he said, okay, working with Ellington. Strayhorn's relationship with Ellington was always difficult to pin down. Strayhorn was a gifted composer and arranger who seemed to flourish in Duke's shadow. Ellington was arguably a father figure, and the band was affectionately protective of the diminutive, mild-mannered, unselfish Strayhorn. Nicknamed by the band Strays, Wheelie, and Sweet Pea. Ellington may have taken advantage of him, but not in the mercenary way in which others had taken advantage of Ellington. Instead, he used Strayhorn to complete his thoughts and introduce his new musical ideas, while giving him the freedom to write on his own and enjoy at least some of the credit he deserved. Though Duke Ellington took credit for much of Strayhorn's work, he did not maliciously drown out his partner. Ellington would make jokes on stage like, Strayhorn does a lot of the work, but I get to take the bows. On the other hand, Ellington did not oppose his publicists frequently crediting him without any mention of Strayhorn. And despite the latter's attempts to hide his dissatisfaction, Strayhorn revealed, at least to his friends, a deepening well of unease about his lack of public recognition as Ellington's prominence grew. I'll read through this. Okay. Strayhorn composed the band's best-known theme, Take the A Train, and a number of other pieces that became part of the band's repertoire. In some cases, Strayhorn received attribution for his work, such as Lotus Blossom, Chelsea Bridge, and Rain Check, while others, such as Daydream and Something to Live For, were listed as collaborations with Ellington, or in the case of Satin Doll and Sugar Hill Penthouse, were credited to Ellington alone. I love Satin Doll. Da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, let me stop there. Strayhorn also arranged many of Ellington's band within band recordings and provided harmonic clarity, taste, and polish to Duke's compositions. On the other hand, Ellington gave Strayhorn full credit as his collaborator on later larger works such as Such Sweet Thunder, A Drum is a Woman, The Perfume Suite, and The Far East Suite, where Strayhorn and Ellington worked closely together. Strayhorn also often sat in on the piano with Ellington Orchestra, both live and in the studio. Detroit Free Press music critic Mark Stryker concludes that the work of Strayhorn and Ellington in the score of the 1959 Hollywood film Anatomy of a Murder is indispensable, although too sketchy to rank in the top echelon among Ellington Strayhorn masterpiece suites like Such Sweet Thunder and the Far East Suite, but its most inspired moments are their equal. Film historians have recognized the soundtrack as a landmark, the first significant Hollywood film music by African Americans comprising non-diegetic music, diegetic, that is, music whose source is not visible or implied by action in the film, like an on-screen band. The score, avoided the cultural stereotypes that previously characterized jazz scores and rejected a strict adherence to visuals in ways that presage the new wave cinema of the 60s. In 1960, the two collaborated on the album, The Nutcracker Suite, recorded for Columbia label and featuring jazz interpretations of the Nutcracker arranged by the two. The original album cover is notable for inclusion of Strayhorn's name and picture along with Ellington's on the front. Now, I had to read all that because they're talking about, Strayhorn didn't always get the credit he deserved as being an equal collaborator with, I said Strayhorn, right, with Duke Ellington. Now, I read that at least 40% of Ellington's catalog can be attributed to Strayhorn. And that credit thing is kind of tricky because even with now you think about Quincy Jones, people say, well, Quincy Jones he's arguably the greatest producer. He's the most, he got the most Grammy wins as producer than anybody in history of the music, But Storch, what's his name? Scott Storch or Scorch, the guy that used to be with the Roots, great producer. He did work with Dre, I think on his Dre's 2001 album, I think. But I don't think he got a lot of the credit like Drake. Drake put it together. So, that's art. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times you think about the Renaissance artists from back in the day, the Italian Renaissance artists, they will have like, you have a painter that's with a known name, but you have other painters like the apprentice. More than one apprentice help him create the masterwork, but the main artist, the lead artist, get all the credit. It is what it is. Like Duke was known for taking other people's ideas in the band and making them into full songs. Like the great Johnny Hodges would complain. He like, they said Johnny Hodges is the great Johnny. Johnny Hodges was an amazing alto saxophonist. Like the way his sound on alto sax, he could basically take your girl's panties off with his sound. I mean, it was so seductive. Listen to Johnny Hodges' Prelude to a Kiss. That's Duke Ellington standard, but listen to how he plays it. His sound is so seductive and full of honey and stuff. It's this really sweet sound that really gets you in the mood. But they said Johnny Hodges used to be on stage. He'll do a solo, and he'd be like on the stage mimicking, like he counted money that Duke Ellington owed him. Like, you owe me for that, you owe me for this, you owe me, man. Like, he'd be like, he counted money about how much money Duke owed him for taking his ideas. But the thing about it is Duke was brilliant because these guys will hum stuff and there'll be ideas. He'll make them into full songs. So they'll be immortalized forever. So give him his due. That Duke would take something you would hum, you just be humming, he'll just take it and I'm gonna make this into a song. So in Strayhorn, he met his match in terms they were musical soulmates. Now you got this man that's openly gay, and you got a man who's known as a ladies' man, but they got a very close professional and artistic relationship. And good for us that they collaborated because they got all this great music to enjoy for generations to come. Like I said, I believe Duke Ellington is the greatest American composer. Nobody like Duke. I think Duke was around. He'll be up there with Dr. Dre, all them guys making hip hop, but it still be so original though. He's the greatest American composer. But anyway, I want to finish. And also Billy Strayhorn. Lena Horne was in love with Billy Strayhorn. Like, she loved this man. Yeah, that Lena Horne. She wanted to marry Billy Strayhorn, even though he was gay. She wanted to be his beard. Lena was like, because he helped her with her sound so much. Like, he helped her get her sound, her unique sound, like help it get showed off in the proper spaces. So, let me read some more about Strayhorn. I think it's interesting. Okay. Shortly before going on his second European tour with his orchestra from March to May 1939, Ellington announced to his sister Ruth and son Mercer Ellington that Strayhorn is staying with us. Through Mercer, Strayhorn met his first partner, African-American musician Aaron Bridgers, with whom Strayhorn lived until Bridgers moved to Paris in 1947. Strayhorn was openly gay. Okay, I already talked about that. He participated in many civil rights causes. As a committed friend to Martin Luther King Jr., he arranged and conducted King Fit the Battle of Alabama for the Ellington Orchestra in 1963 for the historical review and album My People, dedicated to King. Okay, Strayhorn's strong character left an impression on many people who met him. He had a major influence on the career of Lena Horne, who wanted to marry Strayhorn and considered him to have been the love of her life. Now, she said this gay man was the love of her life. He was openly gay. So she knew he was gay. She said, this is the love of my life. He did so many wonders for her career, I guess. Strayhorn used his classical background to improve Horn's singing technique. They eventually recorded songs together. In the 1950s, Strayhorn left his musical partner Duke Ellington for a few years to pursue a solo career of his own. He released a few solo albums and reviews for the Copacetic, a New York-based show business society, and took on a theater productions with his friend Luther Henderson. So he died, he died of throat cancer. I read somewhere he used to smoke like 8 packs of cigarettes a day. So I guess that makes sense. He'll die from something like that. Y'all can look some of this stuff for yourself, but I want to read this that Duke said about Billy Strayhorn in his autobiography and a spoken word passage in his second sacred concert. Duke Ellington listed what he considers Strayhorn's four major moral freedoms: freedom from hate unconditionally, freedom from self pity, even through all the pain and bad news, freedom from fear of possibly doing something that might possibly help another more than it might help himself, and freedom from the kind of pride that might make a man think that he was better than his brother or his neighbor. Okay, that was Billy Strayhorn. They call him Sweet Pea, but his mama called him Bill. But Duke took care of Strayhorn. He paid him well, from my understanding. He was able to smoke his 8 packs of cigarettes a day. He ate fine food. He was a clothes horse. Like, he loved the finer things in life. And he also, what I like about Billy Strayhorn, he wrote this song that I love. The version that I love is Johnny Hartman, the great jazz singer Johnny Hartman, featuring John Coltrane on saxophone. And it's called Lush Life. I live a lush life in some small dive. And when I played it on repeat sometimes when I'm in a sad mood, you know. I live a lush life. So yeah, it's Billy Strayhorn. His mother called him Bill. Phenomenal person. Now Lena Horne is from New York City. I'm not mistaken. Let me look that up. Get this smartphone and make you dumb. We all be news free Dixie for the 21st century. I'm just trying to find. Uh, Let's trying to find what Lena Horne at. Lena Horne. Lena Horne. Okay, Lena. And she was born in New York City. Okay. She actually born what? She was born June 30th, yesterday in New York City. Happy heavenly birthday, Lena Horne. Wow. But you said Hartman. Yeah, I'm gonna say I'm a Sinatra fan. Hartman had a gift, man. He had a gift. I like Hartman. I like those Coltrane Hartman collaborations. They're excellent. Yeah, he was something else. I'll let you talk about Phyllis Hyman. I mean, she was great, but we ain't talking about her tonight. No disrespect to her, beautiful sister. Um, yeah. What else? Okay. What else? So we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna wrap it up tonight. I think I did. I mean, I could talk about more Straight Horn, but I'm not gonna talk about more. My thing was to just talk about him because it was Pride Month and it was Black Music Month, and I combined the best of both worlds. It's so many gay Black musicians that were phenomenal, especially a lot of gospel singers, gospel. About Reverend James Cleveland and some other people. But anyway, I'm not gonna talk about that tonight. Okay. You must well. Thank you for receiving the information. Thank you for tuning out to tune in. Don't at me. I don't give a. You know what? Yeah, yeah. So I'm I ain't bringing no Phyllis Hyman, dude. I don't know what you talking about. You brought up Phyllis Hyman. Bring no Phyllis Hyman. What I talking about? I didn't say nothing about no Phyllis Hyman until you said something about Phyllis Hyman. Anyway, let's see. It's stuff like people. I try to use these things to educate people. It's very important. You need some wet wipes, my dude. Why you still here? You need some wet wipes. Moist channel. Get out of here with that mess. Anyway, I want to talk about this person. I always bring him up. I think it's very important because a lot of people I talk to, like musicians and stuff, they don't know about this guy. And this guy was a very important influencer on some of the people that I know. I appreciate that. Chance Rogers. Yeah, I appreciate all the support. Well, anyway, let me get this on here so I get out of here. This dude right here, I always bring him up. This was Tony Jackson from New Orleans. Like a lot of people, his peers would say he was the greatest piano player to ever come out of New Orleans. This is like the early 1900s, right? And he made his home in Chicago. Very interesting piano player and also composer. He's a very prolific composer. But here's the thing: it's like Billy Strayhorn. He didn't always get a lot of credit for the songs he actually composed. Like the white people on Tin Pan Alley, where they write songs and copyright them, they took a lot of his music and they named it something else. He might have wrote the whole American songbook of the 20th century. Guy had a photographic memory. I believe he probably had perfect pitch and all this stuff. But he started playing in the brothels, I guess, of Storyville down in New Orleans. But let's just read like some type of quick sketch on Brother Tony Jackson. Quick bio sketch. And this is We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. And I said, let me try to do this on Black Music Month and Pride Month. And, I started the show like that. But let me see. Antonio Jr.'s Tony Jackson, sunrise October 25th, 1882, sunset April 20th, 1921, was an American pianist, singer, and composer, like I said. Okay. Career. Jackson became the most popular and sought-after entertainer in Storyville. He was said to be able to remember and play any tune he had heard once, and was hardly ever stumped by obscure requests. His repertoire included ragtime cakewalks. One of his show-stopping tricks was to dance a high-kicking cakewalk while playing the piano. Popular songs of the day from the United States and various nations of Europe and Latin America, blues and light classics. He was also openly, almost defiantly homosexual. After hours, he would go with friends to the Frenchman's Saloon, which catered to musicians and cross-dressers. His singing voice was also exceptional, and he was said to be able to sing. Ooh. I got people calling me left and right. Come on, man. I'm on show. He was able to sing operatic parts from baritone to soprano range. Fellow musicians and singers were universal in their praise of Jackson, most calling him the greatest, and even the far from modest Gilroy Morton ranked Jackson as the only musician better than Morton himself. Morton met Jackson in 1906. Jackson became a mentor to Morton. Jackson also wrote many original tunes, a number of which he sold rights to for a few dollars or were simply stolen from him. Some of the old-time New Orleans musicians said that some well-known Tin Pan Alley pop tunes of the era were actually written by Jackson. Clarence Williams, this is the grandfather of Clarence Williams III. Clarence Williams III, who did Mod Squad, the prolific actor. His grandfather was a prominent New Orleans musician and music producer. So he was a piano player too. Clarence Williams noted he was great because he was original in all his improvisations. We all copy him. More than Jackson's music was copied, he was always well dressed. Jackson dressed himself with a pearl gray derby, checker vest, ascot tie with a diamond stick pin, with sleeve garters on his arms to hold up his cuffs as he played. This became the standard outfit for ragtime and barrel house pianists. As one commented, if you can't play like Tony Jackson, at least you can look like him. Okay. It says Jackson moved to Chicago hoping to have more of an influence on his career. He was also looking for more freedom in his personal life since being gay was difficult in New Orleans. He lived in an apartment on Wabash Avenue with several members of his family, and later they moved to the South State Street. Okay, one of the few tunes published with Jackson's name on it, "Pretty Baby," came out in 1916. Although he was remembered performing the song before he left New Orleans and may have written it in 1911. The original lyrics of "Pretty Baby" were said to refer to his male lover of the time. The song inspired the 1978 film by Louis Malle. So you had in the 1978 film, you had Antonio Fargas, who played Huggy Bear on Starsky and Hutch. He played a guy called the Professor, which I believe was based on Tony Jackson. He was a piano man who dressed, he dressed sharp like Tony Jackson. You see that picture? The guy, he was a fashion plate, a clothes horse, as they say. So I think Antonio Fargas played a character inspired by Tony Jackson in the movie that's based on the name of his song, "Pretty Baby." Okay. Jackson was resident performer at the Deluxe and Peking cafes in Chicago. Although in his later years, his voice and dexterity were impaired by disease, although it has been cited by some as syphilis, the diagnosis at the time of his death was the more likely cirrhosis of the liver, which had been progressing for years, in addition to chronic epilepsy. His friends knew that his health was poor, and they held a benefit for him on February the 17th, 1921, calling it the All-Star Tony Jackson Testimonial and raising $325 for Jackson. He died in Chicago on April 20th, 1921. Jackson piano rolls can still be heard today, and portions of his style are no doubt found in the recordings of younger musicians he influenced, like Jelly Roll Morton, Clarence Williams, and Steve Lewis. In 2011, the Chicago Gay and Lesbian Hall of Fame inducted Jackson into their hall. Jackson was honored for his musical contributions and for living as an openly gay man when that was rare. So that's Tony Jackson, but a lot of his music that we take for granted today, they didn't give him the proper credit on. So there's a lot of stuff that we think that is a part of the American songbook, the standards like, Cole Porter, Hoagie Carmichael, so many of these white guys' music. He probably wrote half of the American songbook and never got the proper credit because he sold his rights. So he was brilliant. And I always bring him up because people always talk about homophobia among black people. And you had Jelly Roll Morton, who's arguably Little Richard was the Jelly Roll Morton of rock and roll. Jelly Roll Morton did so many amazing things in jazz. Like he used to brag about he said that he invented jazz. And people used to laugh at that, like how people used to laugh at Little Richard saying he invented rock and roll. But Jelly Roll did so much for the music with his composition and his piano playing. Like he was really a visionary. Like I remember over 20 something years ago that they discovered Jelly Roll Morton's compositions they didn't know existed. And basically the how he arranged it is like he predicted the future. Like the way that the compositions were arranged, this was written in the 20s, it's like it was letting us know that bebop was around the corner. Like he predicted the rise of bebop through his arrangement and composition. So he was really ahead of the game. And for him to say that Tony Jackson was the greatest piano player, that he was better than him, that says a lot about, Tony Jackson. That you got a person that said, I invented jazz and I'm the greatest, saying that you the greatest. You know what I'm saying? Singing his praises. Should let you know how great Tony Jackson really was. And that he should be remembered for his contributions. And I could go on and on and on and on. Let's see, I want to show another picture of Mr. Jackson. And it's like so much information. I try to, research, man. There's a lot to ponder and stuff. I got it in here. Okay. I want to show this picture. Share this picture. That's Tony Jackson with a group of singers that he used to perform with in Chicago. Now, the one that's farthest away from him, that's Florence Mills, the great Florence Mills. Florence Mills is like the Beyonce of her time. She was very much in demand, singer and dancer and performer. She actually would go overseas and perform for royalty, like the British family and things like that. I think one of her biggest fans actually was the former King of England. What's his name? King Edward VIII, the Duke of Windsor, whatever, who advocated the throne for love. Like he was a sucker for love. He married this woman, this American from Texas, I believe. And he said, I'd rather have love than to have the crown. I guess that runs in the family, huh? Yeah, he advocated back in January 1936. He became king in January 1936. He became king January 20, 1936, excuse me. He advocated in December. So at the beginning of the year, he was king. At the end of the year, he wasn't king. But he did it for love. Wallace Simpson was the lady's name. But he was a big fan of Florence Mills. Unfortunately, Florence Mills died. I guess she was born in Pennsylvania, Wallace Simpson. Okay. Anyway, I ain't gonna get all deep there. Y'all can look that up yourselves. But Florence Mills died young. She died young, man, which is unfortunate. She died November 21st, 1927. She was just 31 years old. And she died, oh my God. Okay. She died exhausted from more than 300 performances of the hit show Blackbirds in London in 1926. She became ill with tuberculosis. She died of infection following an operation at the Hospital for Joint Diseases in New York City, New York, on November 1st, 1927. She was 31 years old. Most sources, including black newspapers such as the Chicago Defender and the Pittsburgh Courier, and mainstream publications, including the New York Times and the Boston Globe, reported that she died of complications from appendicitis. Her death shocked the music world. The New York Times reported that more than 10,000 people visited the funeral home to pay their respects. Thousands attended her funeral, including James Weldon Johnson, president of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, and stars of the stage, vaudeville, and dance. Honorary pallbearers included singers Ethel Waters, Cora Green. Cora Green is in the picture, I believe. She's next to Tony Jackson. And Lottie G, or Gee, all of whom had performed with Mills. Dignitaries and political figures of different races sent their condolences. She is buried at Woodlawn Cemetery in the Bronx, New York. Okay, so that story, they both died young. I don't think Tony Jackson made it to 40, and she didn't make it to 32, so that's young. And yeah, so I mean, our history is hidden, man. Like Tony Jackson, very well respected by New Orleans musicians. I think Sidney Bechet had a lot of respect. These are guys, they know the talent. You know what I'm saying? They know, But my thing is, we gotta want to know so we can grow as well too. So this is why I did the show tonight. Just man, I'm so there's so much going on with me. Just pray for me, people. Just pray for me. I'm just trying to do God's will. Um, I think that's it for tonight. I mean, I could elaborate more into these amazing men career, these men, but I think I gave y'all enough for tonight. Y'all think so? I like Charlie Patton. There you go. You know, it's nothing y'all should look up to. Since it's like this Independence Day coming up, look up Bacon's Rebellion. Look that up. Get familiar with that. Get familiar with that. Bacon's Rebellion. Look that up. Because we do need our Rainbow Coalition. Like Luther said, never too much. Yeah, we could have talked about Luther tonight, but it's so much. I just want to talk. I'm glad I talk about these two gentlemen, Billy Strayhorn and Tony Jackson. But it's so many, man. And my thing is like, I don't care about what you do in the privacy of your bedroom. That's your business. As long as you're not, breaking laws, and messing around with kids, and as long as it's a consensual thing with you and another adult, that's your business. You know, it is what it is. Said Charlie Patton, Jerome Morton, Team Light Skin. You know what? Jerome Morton, he never did want to claim black. He said he was Creole. And Charlie Patton, you can't tell what Charlie Patton was. I mean, he didn't, he looked like everything. But he's another unsung boy. I like Charlie Patton. I got me a stone pony, don't ride shedding no more. Got me a stone pony. I like how he recorded it. He got that interesting sound. I did got here over here, on me a stone pony. I don't know what the hell he was saying. I can see that. Hollywood is unique. I can see because they both was on a Dockery Plantation, right? They was at the Dockery Plantation at the same time. So I can see that. But oh yeah, let me see if I got. Let me show. I talking about Antonio Fargas. He played a character that was inspired by Tony Jackson in the movie Pretty Baby. The name which was inspired by Tony Jackson's composition that he dedicated to his male lover. Let me see. Find that. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I've been running around, man. I feel so like frustrated sometimes because like I have ideas trying to get work done. I want to get things done for you all, but sometimes the time get away from me, man. And okay, I want to show this. Y'all should check out the movie Pretty Baby. It's interesting. Like Brooke Shield plays a 12-year-old prostitute in the movie. And it's based in Storyville, down New Orleans, around World War II sound, around World War One's time. Cause they closed down Storyville, I think in 1917 during World War One because so many military people was getting syphilis going to Storyville. But Storyville is the place where it was not only brothels but also jazz music had a space and place to be performed. So like people like Gilero Morton and Tony Jackson, they will play in these houses of ill repute. The music they provide the soundtrack for the brothels. So the movie Pretty Baby is set around that time, and she plays a 12-year-old prostitute. I think Brooke Shields was actually 11 years old at the time. But it's interesting. I haven't seen the movie, but I have read about it. I've seen clips. I don't know if I've seen clips, but anyway, I have seen still photos like about the one I'm about to share. I'm gonna be out of here, man. It's sleepy time down south. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is like okay. This is Tony Jackson on the other side, and then the movie. That's Antonio Fargas at the piano at the brothel. He was known as Professor. They used to call piano players, especially if you was really good, they call you Professor. Like Duke Ellington would address piano players growing up while he was in D.C. whatever, as Professor this and Professor that. So you like Antonio Fargas got that style like Tony Jackson. He's dapper done and all that. So yeah, he based on Tony Jackson. So anyway, I think that's it, man. I think they'll do. Yeah, I'm about to get some rest. That's what we said about Miles Davis, because a lot of people don't know that Miles was taking AZT at the time of his death. AZT is a drug to treat, AIDS and stuff. He was taking that, so people, he died from pneumonia, whatever. I heard stories about Miles, like that people was in there, people who knew him personally. They told me stories. Uh, it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case, because I heard stories already from people that actually know, whatever. And that's whatever. Like I said, it's consensual, whatever. Mal, I would tell people to read his autobiography. It's worth a read. That movie was trash with Don Cheadle. It had so much potential, but it was trash. If they just told the truth about Miles, the story would still be damn fascinating. Because Miles was amazing, man, amazing person, amazing artist. I mean, there's nobody like him, and there will never be nobody like him again. So he was amazing. I mean, you got to think about it. He was really bad, strung out on heroin, but he was a boxing enthusiast as well too. He was good friends with Sugar Ray Robinson. So I think he actually, in spite of all the stuff he put into his body and how he pushed his body, I believe he lived a little bit longer because he used to, train through boxing. He used to stay in shape by boxing. But then Miles, at the end, he took that 5 year hiatus. He stopped playing and he stopped, doing anything for 5 years. And he came back. I think it was like he had 10 years left of life. So I don't know, Miles is, I love Miles Davis, man. Yeah, Betty Davis is another unsung. We just lost Tina Turner, but imagine a person who was Tina Turner, Madonna, uh, Beyonce. She was everything all in one, Betty Davis, and she never got her propers, man. And it be like that. Life ain't fair. I knew that was a treat then. It all sounded like an awesome treat. Yeah, okay. I think we good. Y'all think we good? I know y'all want more, but I think we good for right now. But if you like the words from Brother Herb, please spread the word. That's We All BTV on YouTube. Go into the description box, learn how to support We All Be and all that good stuff. It took away my Teespring box, but if you like to buy artivist t-shirts, let me know. It's weallbe@gmail.com. That's the email, weallbe@gmail.com. So I'm gonna read a disclaimer. I'm getting out of here, y'all. It's been real, real cool. And thank y'all for allowing me to serve y'all. I take that stuff seriously, man. So thank you, thank you, thank you. People been calling me. Like I said, my phone has been getting no service for hours, and all of a sudden I'm on this live to get, everything to keep on going off. I'm sorry about that. Okay, I thought I still had my fan on. I said, man, I got too much going on, man. I don't understand how I'm never always going on, man. I don't get enough sleep. Like I said, I've been sleep deprived for 9 months, thinking it was love, but it was just because I was sleep deprived. Oh my God, man! I just it's been an interesting year for me, man. I thank God. I thank the universal God and Sister Thea for looking out for a brother like me, and all the righteous ancestors like my grandfather looking out for me. Arthur Taylor singing grip, looking out for me, grip. But anyway, read this disclaimer, man. Trying to find. Yeah, but what I learned is that you are responsible for your happiness. Don't outsource your happiness to anybody. Just be lovable, man. Just be you. Be able to receive and give love, and God has a way to reward you. Sometimes I be trying to push it, but there's no need. And I'm gonna continue to be myself, regardless if things do or don't work out with somebody. I'm not gonna put the blame on other people for that. You keep trying. A teacher once told me, a Jegna of mine once told me, Ron, the only way that you can fail is if you stop trying. The only way you can fail at anything is if you stop trying. Do my Dr. Umar, the only way you can fail is if you stop trying. So this disclaimer, the views expressed by host and guests on the We All Be TV platform are not the official views, opinions, beliefs, or perspectives of We All Be News or the We All Be Group Incorporated. We All Be News is an organization that thoroughly believes in supplementing the information narrative that is usually supplied by the corporate news entities with those viewpoints and expressions which may be marginalized or ignored for a plethora of reasons. We are about informing the general public on alternative perspectives, as it relates to news and information, and letting the general public be the ultimate judge in deciding how to use said information. Informed citizens are responsible citizens. Thank you for your support. So we thank you for that. But also, I got to find this quote that Duke. I don't know who said this about Billy Strayhorn. I'm trying to find it. Thank y'all for y'all patience. Yeah, man, it's been a rough couple of days, man, for me. And it's like I just got to get through them, man. And like doing stuff like this is helping me. It's very therapeutic. But like I say, everybody plays a fool sometimes. Ain't no exception to the rules. Ain't no exception to the rules. Everybody play the fool. Everybody plays the fool. Yeah, I think I'm gonna listen to Lush Life on repeat after I get off of here. I live a lush life in some small town. If I can find it, if I can't, that's fine. Of those whose hearts are lonely too. Mm. I'm trying to think. If I type this, I just want to read this quote for the record. I can't find the thing for nothing. I had it at first. It was like an article that quoted something. I said, "Yeah, that sounds cool." To quote, hmm, I don't know. I can't find it now, but okay. I know what I do. I'm typing something. Brainwaves. I don't know. I might get a second win and continue the show a little bit longer. No, I ain't gonna do that. Okay. Billy Strayhorn. This is from Duke Ellington, right? This is from the Duke. Duke Ellington. Duke Ellington. Duke Ellington. Okay, it's Duke Ellington. This Duke Ellington said, Billy Strayhorn was my right arm, my left arm, all the eyes in the back of my head. My brain waves is in his head and his in mine. Now Duke ain't known. Duke is known for being a ladies' man, and Billy Strayhorn was known for being a gay man. So you would think that was like the odd couple, but they made beautiful music together. They fit like hand in glove. And that's what it's about. If you're a real creative or artist, you're not worrying about, certain things that so-called normal people get tripped up by. Your thing is about finding ways to create the thing that you love to do, you know. And I also would suggest people to read Duke Ellington's autobiography, and music was his mistress. And it was crazy. I went to Smithsonian Institute back in 2005 before I left to go back to Memphis. I drove to DC, so I had a long drive ahead of me, but I had stopped at the Smithsonian Institute, and I talked to a so-called Duke Ellington expert, and this man swore to me up and down that Duke Ellington had no sister, man. He said Duke didn't have a sister, and he's known as a Duke Ellington expert. I said, is this man gaslighting me? Is this dude like serious? Is this a sick joke? Because the crazy thing about it is, Duke Ellington's sister, Ruth, died the year before, in 2004, I believe. And she was over his publishing company at one point. And her obituary was printed in the New York Times. It was in the New York Times. And I knew a guy that was a former fiance, the great Dr. Randy Weston, who passed away a little bit after Aretha Franklin. But he was a phenomenal man. He was just a great man. He was a real giant, in the physical sense as well as in the spiritual one. Well, he was engaged to Duke Ellington's sister. So, I mean, why would a dude that's a world-renowned Duke Ellington expert not know that Duke Ellington has a sister that who he talk about in his autobiography and who helped run his business, his publishing? Something ain't right. But anyway, I think that does it. But y'all can support, Cash App your support, $ R2C2H2. Google Pay, PayPal, and Zelle your support. Email r2c2h2@gmail.com. You can Vimo your support at r2c2h2. Apple Cash 901-299-4355, or join our patreon.com at We All Be. This is Brother Ron signing off. Signing out, Brother Ron. And we love you all madly. We love you all, man. Thank you for the salute. One love. One love.